Hey guys, Kevpert here, coming at you with a very quick 5-minute camera settings video. So what we're going to do is we're going to briefly go over my camera settings, how I got to them, what my philosophy is, and what camera settings are optimal for you to use. So these are my camera settings. First thing you'll notice is camera FOV and distance is maxed out. And so we'll go into principle number one. For myself is you need to maximize information for yourself. So you want to have the best information as possible. FOV plays a very big role in that. So having FOV of something like this is clearly inferior to me, inferior to something like this where you can see more of the pitch. So in threes, in this sort of situation, you can see teammates, you can see where opponents are. This is really nice for me. Distance, very similar thing. I like having a little more distance so I can see what I'm doing. And for me, I've gotten very used to the hits that I need, even at this distance. It's not a big deal for me. I know it is when you switch at the beginning from something more similar to defaults. Now, camera height, camera angle, this is probably where a lot of pros have different opinions. And I've gotten a lot of flack for having, in the past, settings that look like this, and they said, oh well, you can't aerial, and that was never the intent of my advice when I gave advice about camera settings in my dribbling tutorial. That was more about being able to see behind the ball and have the best information. Now, it did affect my performance in threes when I was going up for things like aerials, and it makes air dribbling almost impossible because I can't see underneath the ball. So air dribbling in this sort of sense, it's very difficult. So I did change them, and I found that this still gives you that information of being able to see behind the ball for dribbles. That makes flicking very intuitive. Lets you see where the ball is placed on your car. So if it's on the front, that's very obvious. And for things like wall air dribbles, this is totally fine. So that's why I decided to reduce those, and I found a really nice balance there. It makes my aerials a lot more potent, makes air dribbles a lot easier, and frankly, I really like these settings. Now, camera stiffness is something a lot of people misunderstand. So at 0, this is your default. In free cam, you'll see that the camera slides around a lot. The car does not stay centered on the screen, and when you go fast, even in ball cam, you get this small car effect. I'm not a fan of that. I like consistency, so I used to have a camera stiffness of 1. You'll see the car, you don't get the small car effect when you're going supersonic. But when you're in free cam, it's a little disorienting. Right? Going for things like power slides is almost impossible. So I find 0.8 is nice, gives you a little more distance, so the camera's not as close, and it smooths out some of those turns. So if you are to power slide, it's not as disorienting. Now for swivel speed, I like setting that at pretty high, 8.0. That's just so I can scan the pitch. That gives me some information. So if the ball's going into the corner, I can see, well, there's someone pressuring there. If not, I kind of just take the ball out. One more thing I do want to cover before I finish is rear cam. This is more a controller preference, controller configuration preference. But I like having rear cam on a button you can press immediately while you are still able to hold boost. So you can see I can still hold rear cam, and this gives you information. So if you're carrying the ball into your own corner and you're worried that the player is stepping and a player is stepping, you'll know that you can just kind of drop back. Alternatively, if a player is not stepping, that's when you know that you can just get around this ball, start something like a bounce dribble or whatever you want. So that's all that is. You do want rear cam to be on a button you can press immediately, so I have it on L3 on my left stick. So that's going to wrap up this video. Hopefully that gives you a brief overview of why my camera settings are the way they are, and it helps you find optimal settings for yourself. So thanks for watching, guys. Have a good one.